Hi, I'm Mo Binni, and I'm a web developer from ICAPS in Belgium. And today I'm going to be talking about choosing the right framework, something that's become inherently hard in the JavaScript ecosystem since frameworks and libraries pop up left, right, and center. And, well, what kind of metrics should you take into account when deciding what you're going to use on your project? If you follow Medium at all, you see a lot of senior developers get angry about this topic. And I hope that by the end of this talk, you'll know what metrics are valuable. So to give you a bit of background, last year around this time I started on a new project, and back last year Angular 1 was the reigning framework, and a bank approached us, Keytrade Bank, to go through a research phase in which we would decide what framework would best fit their stack, because their entire code base was built on PHP. And if you've built a website in PHP at all, after a certain amount of time, it gets messy, it gets unmaintainable. And this was all built all the way back in 2006. And so we did a research phase of 2 months and 3 weeks, in which we took Angular 1, Angular 2, React, Ember, and Meteor under the loop. And what we basically did was, there are no valid models within our field of expertise to decide whether something's viable or not. In business and in marketing, you have all these models to decide, well, is this the right decision we're going to make? So what we did was we went online, we started Googling all these metrics that people were using to determine what made something viable to use in production. And we came up with top-level criteria. Now there are sub-criteria, and the scorecard that we used was way more in-depth, but these are the top-level criteria. And if you look at here, performance was one of the most important things. And if you listen to I forget his name, but listen to one of the lightning talks yesterday, he talked about the performance, speeding up the performance of JavaScript libraries, and we were looking specifically at boot time and size in kilobytes. If you look at the complexity of a library, we're talking about how hard is it to get started with it. Like Angular 1, you have to learn scope, digest loop, all these specific things about the framework. And in React, which is not a framework inherently, but a library, it's way easier to get started. We also looked at testability. How easy is it to get your unit tests, your functional tests, your integration tests up and running? And we looked at compatibility and support. What's the end of life expectancy for a framework? What's the community's support towards issues? Are there a lot of Stack Overflow questions, stuff like that? And we looked at soft criteria like GitHub stars, popularity within the community. Are there developers easily available? All these things you have to take into account when you're going to start building something from scratch and you have a huge number of users to still support with your product. But one of the most important criteria we took into account was company culture. Because if your developers are used to using an end-all solution like Ruby on Rails, or they fit well within the Ember paradigm of programming, then that would fit the company culture better, because you don't want to mold the developers into something they're not. And you could guess it which framework won, because I am at React Europe, and it was React. And currently we are in production. We are for the bank with a demo platform, a dashboard, and it's working pretty well. And the next step for us is to, we're taking the scorecard that we actually use and we're building a website out of it. So if you follow me on Twitter, I'll be dropping the link there once it's ready. I want to thank you all for listening, and have a nice rest of the conference.